Concealed Taco Dudes podcast. They told me it was episode 170.
Woo! 170. So, we have today me, Jason with Concealment Solutions.
Me, Taco.
And me, Travis, with Utah Airguns.
All right. So we are at Utah Airguns, bright and early on a Saturday morning.
The luxurious
We're watching
Utah Airgun studio.
Yeah, watching the sun come up over the mountain.
True story.
Yes.
Which is crazy because I don't see very many sunrises. Travis apparently does every morning.
Every morning, yep. I'm an early riser.
I see some of the sunrises when I'm working late.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, those are really rough ones.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've had some, this last week has been a rough work week. I've had more than one 12-hour day.
Well, we are at that. Countdown to Christmas.
Right,
so
'tis the
everybody's
season.
trying to get the last minute gifts for that special someone.
Yes.
Yes.
Or the begrudging gift for that person you don't really want to spend money on, but you feel obligated to anyway.
Yes.
I don't have anyone in my life like that, Jason.
I don't either.
So both of you have cut the negativity out of you.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Sure, yeah.
Either that or we've cut out the present giving to those people.
Yeah.
Which is probably a wise idea.
you.
You're cut off.
You're not.
Anyway, let's jump in to our sponsors. So, we have NOE bullet molds. We always start with NOE because we're
usually in the NOE studio. Yeah. I picked up my 50 cal. I don't know if I had picked it up last time, but I picked it up.
And this is the one that has
It's the truncated cone nose and
the one that you can do the different weights.
Yes.
So it's a hollow base.
Nose pour, and it has a hollow base 300 grain. That seems like it'd be perfect for like one of the air guns.
It should actually be a good air gun slug.
Dish back, so you got a place for the seal to work.
Yeah.
Air to hit it, so you get a good tight seal.
Yep.
Yeah, that could.
It could work. Maybe we need to test.
We'll test some.
But then it has flat base pins for 350 grains, 400 grains, and 500 grains.
Yeah.
So one of the listeners,
cool.
He asked me a question. He said, "Have you flipped it backwards to shoot a massive hollow point?" So I have not done that yet with this bullet. I have done it in the past.
It's interesting that somebody had to give you that suggestion because that sounds like something you would just automatically do.
Yeah, well, I already have like hollow point 50 cal molds.
Sure.
And so shooting the ones that are designed to be shot that way usually works better.
Right.
But if you're to
you have to try it now.
Yeah.
But remember when we were kids and we had the old Benjamins and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You would, look, there's a hollow point on the back of this pellet. So you would load it backwards thinking that you were doing something cool and never really worked out that way.
Yeah. Well, with pellets, it's a little bit different than some of those hollow base bullets. Because the 38s, for 357, 38s, those, I forget what weight, maybe it's 150 grain. You can actually flip those around and it's just a massive hollow point with that hollow base. It does work.
Yeah.
But they don't fly quite as good at distance.
Sure.
Because,
Say, at what distance do they fall off the rails?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have to do it sometime.
Yeah.
But, maybe that truncated cone will act like a big, huge boat tail or something.
Yeah. Nice.
So use coupon code FLT001 and it'll save you 10%.
Yep. And then Utah Airguns, UtahAirguns.com. What's the latest, greatest at Utah Airguns?
So, holiday season.
Yeah.
Getting everybody geared up, making sure that people get, stocking stuffers, pellets. Mm-hmm. Slugs are always a good idea.
What are the top 5 recommendations for stocking stuffers from Utah Airguns?
Oh, there you go.
I would probably say number 1 would be everybody always needs ammunition.
It
seems like we go through pellets,
slugs,
pellets and slugs. That's probably number 1.
Don't let me leave today without some pellets.
Okay, and then you've got accessories like a scope level is always good, whether it's attaches to the scope itself or one of the nice digital ones that you can put on your rail that lights up, tells you when it's level, when it's not. Oh, what else? You could always stuff a scope in a stocking. So little items like that, scope rings, your accessory packages, new grips, a lot of new. In fact, there's a lot of new guns out there that have been released over the course of the last couple
Really,
of
that
years.
you could stuff in your stocking?
Well, I mean, like that little.
Depends on how big your stocking is.
I mean, we can get a custom fit stocking for you.
Yeah.
But there's some smaller,
Yeah.
ones.
We've talked about some of our favorites being, the Air Venturi Avenger's not small, but it's smaller price.
Yeah.
And that one's a good killer
Yeah.
for the dollar.
For a guy wanting to get in, regulated gun. And you can get it from 177, 22, 25 caliber. They did, it's not a bolt gun, it's a side lever cock. They came out with the next version, so they had the Avenger, now they have the Avenger X. So the Avenger X, different configurations. You've got the bullpup, you've got a tactical version, you've got a bottle version now.
Oh.
You've got a bullpup.
Okay, so
bottle
how
version.
much does the bottle version run? If you can just
They're going to be right around that 880 range for a bottle version.
Okay.
Okay, so a little bit more.
A little bit more fill pressure on those, so you're going to be able to fill the gun up right around 4,000 psi.
Okay.
They are regulated,
Nice.
so now you're going to get very consistent shots over the course of your either target shooting, planking, you're out hunting, so you can count on your accuracy being right there.
Nice.
And then another one that I think we both have one is the little Notos.
Oh yeah,
Humerex.
Still extremely popular.
Yeah.
We'll get them, and within 2 or 3 weeks of the shipment coming in, guys are calling, hey, I need another one of those.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait till the next shipment comes in.
Sorry, only one per customer per year.
So, and that's a great one to get guys started with. Just price point. If you would have, I've been doing this with Justin for almost 7 years now.
Nice.
And when I started, if you would have said a regulated gun for under $300, I would have laughed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that gun is...
It comes with a lot of features. And it's around the, $300 something range?
You're about $260.
Oh,
wow.
So yeah, that's
That's
a lot
incredible.
of features for $260.
Yeah. Full rail, full pick rail on the top. It comes moderated from the factory.
And it's a decent moderator.
Yeah.
It's a quiet gun.
Well, the other thing too is it has a collapsible stock. So if you have
adjustable
small kids,
stock, AR style.
AR style,
It's adjustable.
so
And it's super lightweight too.
Yes.
Again, good for the kids.
Good for the kids that way, because how many of us have taken your young son out and with your long gun and he's got his arm pitting it and his head craned over the side. And he's trying to get into the scope and he can't and he's getting frustrated. That gun's great because you can collapse that stock down. He can get behind it. Now he's learning proper mechanics.
Right.
And it works out better.
Yeah. Awesome. So Utah Airguns at UtahAirguns.com. When you check out, use the code AirCandy. You'll get free shipping and free turret stickers. Black Ice Coatings at BlackIceCoatings.com. You guys are a fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys send a lot of stuff over
So
there.
Yes.
when you get on Utah Airguns website and you start cruising through and looking at stuff and you get into some of the custom things and you see all those hydro dipped guns and Cerakoted guns, that's generally speaking that's Lee's work. Am I right?
Yes.
Over at Black Ice Coatings. So he does a lot of the work here for Utah Airguns. Top notch. Call them up and tell them you want it slickery. and they'll laugh at you and charge you full price.
Yeah, and if you guys have recommendations on that little break action of mine, 300 blackout, send them in. See how we should take care of that. Dip it or Cerakote it or what.
Sure. Cool. Mag holder at magholder.com. Horizontal mag carriers, the most comfortable way to carry a spare magazine. They conceal really well. They don't poke your side chub, and they're nice. And he's got all kinds of other stuff on there. So go check them out at magholder.com. Use the code Get in the Van. I have candy, and you'll save a bunch of money.
All right.
And then
Concealment Solutions.
I almost forgot what my business was called.
Jason, not good.
Concealment Solutions at concealmentsolutions.com. Your one-stop holster shop. People ask, well, what kind of holsters do you do? Every kind. Every kind. I mean, I have made holsters that have bolted onto somebody's chest protector for when they're riding motocross. I have made holsters that have mounted to the underside of a trunk lid. I've made holsters that mount inside center consoles of a vehicle. Not to mention everyday concealed carry stuff, competition stuff, tactical stuff, hunting stuff. If you need a holster
Or a knife sheath.
or a knife sheath,
Yes.
or
He built one for me.
He's built several for me.
anything that I can bend Kydex around, I can make it for you. And the shop is going to get a little bit nicer. We are working on a showroom. It will be very small, but it will be very cool. So you'll be able to come down, see stuff. I'll have more product on hand. If you've come to the shop, you know, like people, oh, do you have a Cobra for a Glock 19? You would think I would have that ready to go. No, I don't. Partly because I don't really have the room to store stuff, and yeah, so there will be things available for people who just walk in and need something. It doesn't take me long to put stuff together anyway, but and we'll add a bunch of more cool stuff. I'm looking at another knife brand that for folders and more everyday carry type of stuff, and a few other things to start building out that store.
All right,
So
all right.
I'm excited about that.
Coupon code?
The coupon code is
Coupon cold.
is
I'm feeling cold right now.
show me the candy, and you'll save 15% off of your entire order. All right, that might have been the fastest we have ever gone through sponsors. That's amazing. Okay, let's jump into a news story or two. They're kind of two related here, so let's jump right in. This in Kettering, Ohio. A Lyft driver tried to pull her firearm during a fight between her and a passenger last Thursday morning. And that's Lyft with a Y, L-Y-F-T. It took me a second, and I'm like, I don't understand. What, is she driving a forklift? What? Lyft is a competitor to Uber.
Yeah.
Oh.
So she's a taxi driver, more or less, driving her personal vehicle to haul people around. It started when a male Lyft passenger began saying things that made her uncomfortable while she was taking him to Meijer, M-E-I-J-E-R. They say that like we should know what that is. And I have no idea what that is.
We don't have that here.
Unless that's a city or a town in Ohio. I didn't look it up. Maybe I should have. Anyway, it's a mystery. If you know what Meijer is, let us know. So she's giving him a ride. It started when the driver reached for her gun, but the man saw what she was doing and reached for it too. The driver and the man fought, and the gun went off twice, but no one got hit.
Oh, geez.
So imagine,
Boy.
you're in probably one of the most vulnerable positions you could be in, being a driver. A taxi driver.
Yeah, you got someone behind you.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? And I don't know if he is necessarily behind her or not. He might have been in the passenger seat. I don't know. That's a little unorthodox, but it sounded like he was there not for the best of reasons anyway. Cynthia James is the public information officer for Kettering Police. She said she, the driver, claimed the male made some sort of statement to her saying that he didn't want to hurt her and that he just wanted to be given a ride. So why don't you just get in this car and say, will you give me a ride? Because that's what you do. Why start with, I don't want to hurt you, but...
That might have been inside when he's already.
Right. The man got a hold of her gun, which was a Glock 17. Good on her for carrying a full-size gun. And fled the scene when they got to... And here's where it gets weird. When they got to the Mayhair.
Maybe that's a store.
Maybe it is.
It's like Meyer, like Fred Meyer.
Maybe. Maybe. The Kettering police attempted to use a K9 to track and locate the suspect, which we learned from our last story. It worked very well for the jewelry burglary, robbery thing. And this is, I think, a bit humorous also. So they get the dog out to locate the suspect, but he had already fled the scene. Yeah, that's why you got the dog, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand what the problem is.
What?
Did you bring a Yorkie? What were you trying to track this
Is
guy
a
with?
support dog.
Yeah, the officer's emotional support dog. But anyway, so they couldn't find him. He had on a green hoodie, blue jeans, and dark-colored cap with a short, grayish beard. Sounds like it could have been a lot worse if she didn't have a means to protect herself. Which, yes.
We're looking at how short your beard is.
Other than the blue hoodie, have you been in Ohio lately?
I cut an inch off my beard recently.
Oh boy.
Despite company policy, so unfortunately it sounds like this guy got away with her gun, which really sucks, and they can't find her. Which, it seems like if he had, I don't know what his intentions were, but you would think, okay, now I got your gun, now I'm going to get whatever I want, whatever it was. But anyway, he ran away, and the Yorkie couldn't find him. Despite company policy prohibiting rideshare drivers from carrying firearms while working, there has been a noticeable increase in incidents over the past year where rideshare drivers have had to defend themselves. There was a case in September where a police officer pulled up behind the vehicle as the passenger was attempting to rob the rideshare driver at gunpoint. We're going to read that story next, but I thought we would read the Lyft driver firearm policy.
Okay.
It's a comedy in itself. Lyft has a strict no weapons policy for all of its properties. This includes Lyft hubs and service centers. Our no weapons policy applies when you are doing business as a representative of Lyft, which includes times that you are driving for Lyft as well as times that you are visiting a Lyft hub. This means that even in places where it is legal to carry a weapon, we ask that you do not carry a weapon of any or on any Lyft property. We approach this from a community perspective. It's hard to know what someone else is or isn't comfortable with. The mere presence of a weapon might make another community member distressed and fear for his or her own personal safety. So we don't care about your personal safety.
Yeah.
We just care that your customers are feeling warm and fuzzy, which they shouldn't even see the weapon anyway.
Yeah, it should be concealed.
Anyway, it gets better. At a minimum, a weapon includes any form of firearm. There are many items that could be considered weapons besides firearms, such as handguns.
Wait, what?
Stun guns, explosives, knives, slingshots, and tasers. If I'm a Lyft driver, I'm going to have my slingshot sitting on the dashboard. Don't mess with me. But yes, other than firearms, such as handguns. Yeah, because apparently it's not a firearm anymore.
No, it's a handgun.
It's a handgun.
Wait, would that include the ever traditional finger pistol?
It might.
Is that illegal? So you can't point a finger pistol?
Only
it
if
is.
it makes people feel uncomfortable.
Oh, wait. Where do feelings start coming into
yes. Yes. If you have any questions about whether various items could be considered a weapon under this policy, please contact Lyft support before bringing any questionable items onto Lyft property. It may be time for Lyft and Uber to reconsider their policies. This is the last line from the person who wrote the article.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So, yes. Okay, so the other story. This one had a video, which was pretty interesting to watch. A police officer was in the perfect spot when a man tried to rob a cab driver. This happened in Reading, Pennsylvania. This was in March of 2016, so this was a long time ago. But everything was caught on video, which was great. Deputy Terry Eli noticed that the cab in front of him didn't move forward when the light turned green while his patrol car was stopped at a red light. So they're sitting at a red light, cop sitting behind the cab, light turns green, nothing happens. He's like, what's going on? Why isn't this guy moving? After the traffic light changed to red, Eli got out of his vehicle to see what was happening. I stood in the back to try and hear the conversation ahead of time, so I knew what I was getting myself into, Eli told the TV station. At that point, I heard the driver say, "Just please don't shoot me." Victor Martinez Herrera, 18 years old at the time of the incident, had what appeared to be a handgun and demanded money from the taxi driver. "Give me all your money, man. Give me everything you got," the suspect demanded. "I need it all right now if you don't want to die." The driver, Ralph Valletta, which Ralph looks like he's probably in his 70s.
Oh.
A name like Ralph, you're probably right.
And I heard him say that this might have been like his first day or his first week on the job.
Oh,
and this was an actual
dear.
taxi. The driver, Ralph Valletta, handed the suspect a whopping $11. Deputy Eli arrested Martinez Herrera, and police later learned the weapon was a pellet gun. Of course it was. The cab driver told the deputy, "Oh my God, you are a lifesaver." Martinez Herrera faced criminal charges including robbery, terroristic threats, and simple assault.
They couldn't use assault with a deadly weapon.
Right.
Yes.
When your rider gets in with a hoodie and mask pulled as tight as possible, that is a huge red flag. If I were the cab driver, I would not have left him in the car to begin with. This is terrible situational awareness on the driver's part. This is the cop talking. The cabbie was in a bad spot with few options since the attacker was behind him. Being attacked from behind is difficult to defend against, and the driver should have kept the pass-through shut. So he had one of the glass windows. He should have kept it shut. When he saw that guy coming to get into the car, he should have just locked the doors. And sorry.
Or just drive off.
Right. Yeah. Rideshare drivers being robbed is on the rise, and there have been multiple cases where they have successfully defended themselves. Still, it's not a position I would want to be in. It's not like a criminal will listen, but keep your finger off the trigger when you're waving the damn gun around. So that was pretty interesting. But I feel bad for the guy who was just totally traumatized. I mean, this kid had the gun through the window up against his head, screaming at him, telling him, and he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Give me your wallet." He's like, "There's nothing in my wallet. Here's $11. This got me thinking. I think that the typical thug these days has it really hard. How many people carry cash anymore?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm just thinking, you're an idiot if you're trying to rob a cab. Who's paying a cab or an Uber or anything?
Plastic,
it's all done
and a lot
digitally.
of it's done, digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even with your credit card, like it's with saved payment methods that you just...
Well, and with the way credit cards are now, it used to be you steal somebody's credit card, you had a few days that you could rack up a bill on it and be good to go, but not anymore.
No. Meaning, phones you can set them up with a swiper.
Yeah.
You can set up Venmo, so it's just a Venmo payment.
Right.
There's so many options out there. Yeah, if you're a thug these days, you're...
Send me some money on Venmo.
Yeah.
And the police go right to
Dude, what's your Venmo?
hurry, scan my phone.
Yeah. But yeah, the driver in that situation, he was a new driver, so you can't put too much blame on him, but definitely wasn't very situationally aware.
No.
And I'm thinking, so in the past podcasts, I've done some stories from books and incidents, and there was one, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was in one of the books, the Deadliest Men.
Oh yeah.
And the guy was a cab driver.
Yeah, I remember that story.
And I think I can remember, and this guy was like 400 pounds. He was huge, and he got hit constantly, and he killed a lot of people defending himself. And I believe one of the situations that he was in, I think he was left-handed, and so he kept his gun like in the pocket of the door on the driver's side on the left or whatever. Guy behind him with a gun, I believe he drew his gun and just like tucked it under with his left hand, tucked it under his right arm and shot through the seat and killed the guy.
Yeah, that book is an interesting book.
It's great. I think it was the second edition that I had.
And what was it called?
It's called World's Deadliest
Men. There's 2 volumes, and it just goes through cops, military, private citizens, all this, and it's just stories of all these
Under the armpit, that's movie. That's like movie-esque, pull that shot.
And this was like, I think he was a cab driver in the Bay Area. It's like San Francisco Bay Area. And this was like 70s, I think.
Dirty Harry-esque.
You know, and anyway, there's some fantastic stories in those books. I think one I had was the second edition. I just got it out of the library and they never had the first one. I'm like, why do you have the second volume and not the first?
Yeah, too bad they don't have that on audiobook.
Yeah.
I think I'd buy that one.
Yeah.
Listen to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought those were pretty interesting stories. And if you're driving an Uber or a Lyft or whatever, you know what? I would ignore your company policy.
Well, situational awareness. Look at the person you're picking up.
Yeah. The thing is, too, if you ignore the policy, what's the worst that could happen to you? You get fired.
Yeah.
But if you had to use your firearm, there's worse things that could happen than being fired.
Right.
Like dying or getting maimed or injured.
And I don't know if I've told this story or not. This was several years ago, but I had a customer. He's bought a lot of stuff from me, and he travels a lot for his job. And we were talking one day, and he's like, "Yeah, gotta go to California this week." And I was like, I'm like, well, what do you do in California to protect yourself? He's like, carry my gun. I'm like, you have a permit? He's like, no. I'm like, really? And he's like, if I get caught carrying a concealed weapon in California, it's a misdemeanor. He's like, I'll take that any day over getting killed. Mm-hmm. And I went, interesting. And the way they're decriminalizing everything in California, it's probably not even that anymore.
Yeah, it's probably just, here's a ticket, you need to pay a $25 fine.
Yeah.
I would bet that part of that is based on skin color. If you're white and you carry, it's like a felony. And if
True. If you're a minority, you get a pass.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that you break the law, but it's important to be aware of, what's legal, what isn't, what are the consequences, and weigh that and make a decision based on the information.
Yes.
So, all right, we haven't done what we've done with guns forever, so let's do that.
What you done with guns and air guns?
Yeah, I will start. I haven't done much. I know you're all shocked. I did pick up I don't know how many rounds it is, but one of those big stick magazines for
Clock.
But in 45 for my little AR pistol.
Did you? Is it the Korean one, or did you get?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I can't remember. I got it at Gunny's.
Okay, those are hit or miss,
I know.
and so you
I
just gotta,
know. Anytime you're going with those, you're rolling the dice. And I haven't had a chance to go test it yet. But
if you do have some issues, check the feed lips.
yeah.
The Korean ones do have like some. Usually they don't fit very good. So, I mean, they're not as exact.
Well, to be fair, there are some issues with this gun anyway. Like with a Glock magazine, it won't feed the first round if the magazine is fully loaded. And I don't know if the Teflon is too slickery and it's just in there so tight that it won't strip that first round off. But if I take one down, it runs fine.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, well, I think this is maybe a 19 round magazine. So I'm like, if I have to load it with 18 and it runs fine, I'm okay with that.
There you go.
You'll want to. Probably part of it's the magazine isn't broken in, and you probably haven't shot the gun a whole lot.
I haven't shot it a ton. It's got 150-ish rounds through it, but not a ton.
A lot of times if that's the issue, it's just the magazine spring is like
and they were brand new Glock,
brand new tight
45 double stack magazines,
and then
they are. Yeah, and I've left them like fully loaded to try and spring fatigue in magazines. I am not a believer.
Well,
it does to a very small degree.
Yeah, it's not the loading that wears springs out. It's the loading and then unloading.
Oh,
so so just by putting this, keeping it loaded, it doesn't make the spring wear out faster. So that's why.
There's the myth that if you leave your magazine loaded, it's going to ruin the springs and
Yeah.
Carl proved that wrong when he inherited that World War II 1911.
Oh, okay.
And when he got it, it had a fully loaded magazine with original ammo in it. And it was like, wow, what'd you do? Put it in the gun and shot it. And how did it run? He's like, it ran fine.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I did a video on a magazine I left. It was a PMag.
Yeah, yeah.
And I left that loaded.
It's over a year, wasn't
I think
it?
it was 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I believe it was 10 years. Because it was when, it was a Gen 1, and it was when PMags were new.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, plastic mag's not going to work, whatever. I said, well,
Yeah.
and they were expensive at the time, so I only did one. I wish I would have loaded like 10 or something.
Yeah.
But they were like 30 to 35 bucks each, and so doing that would have been expensive.
You can get them for $9.
So I and it was before I did videos. And so it was just me and the gun store guys over at Gunny's. I was like, hey, it's like, I'm going to do a test and leave this loaded for like 5 years and see what happens. Yeah. And then I forgot about it. And then I found it in my safe. I was like, oh, I checked the date.
It hadn't exploded?
Yeah. And then I took it to the range and it fired totally fine. So,
nice. Yeah.
Kind of disproved that, and then disproved the
feed lips are
getting all weird.
Wonky
but
or whatever.
Granted, this wasn't left in a car where it was exposed to like
the
really
temperature
hot
changes
and really cold.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would affect the polymers, but it was left
I could see
temperature
how it could.
controlled in
Yeah.
a safe. So, but I don't have another 10 years that I want to like do that. I'll be like 55 or something. Well, I shouldn't.
Hey now! Hey!
Wait, these guys here.
You almost broke out the old man voice.
I was gonna do the old man voice, and then I was like, oh wait, these guys are. How old are you?
I'm 54.
54. my old man voice imitated Jason. Hey guys, welcome to the show. I got my PMags. I've tested these for 10 years. But how old are you?
52.
52. Ah, Jason's the old man.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm getting used to that.
It's all right.
Okay.
Anyways.
Honestly, I've been so busy in the shop that I haven't had time to hardly do anything other than work. But it's all good. Thank you for your orders. Keep them coming.
Travis, what have you done with guns or air guns besides sell a bunch of stuff?
Pretty much that entails most of what I do, but I did get, and I'm terrible about Christmas gifts, but I did get Peyton, my son, a no-toe, so got a scope, got it all mounted up for him.
Which scope did you put on?
I had a Hawk. It was one of the compacts.
Mm-hmm. Those are kind of cool, the little compact ones. I don't know if you.
I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
So it's the out of their compact series. They call it the SF, meaning it's got the sight focus. It's a 4-16 with a 44 millimeter through 30 millimeter tube. So yes, the scope's more than the gun. If you don't have good glass on your gun, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
If you can't see what you're doing with it, I mean, for short shots, great, but if you're trying to do anything at distance, it's like, okay, we need to have something a little bit better than this.
Yeah, I'm really big on good optics on the guns you shoot most.
Regardless of what kind of gun it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's an air gun or a handgun or rifle, whatever. Like, people look at my little break action 300 blackout pistol, and they see that I have an EOTech on top, and they just look at me funny like, what? What are you doing putting an EOTech on a little break action pistol?
Yeah.
And then they shoot it, and then they're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And that little setup, man, people love shooting that gun.
I had a Hollow Sun red dot on my Diana pistol.
Bandit.
On the Bandit, and it was twice the price of what the pistol cost.
In fact, I think I have an EOTech on my Diana Bandit.
Really?
Yes, but
it makes sense. I'm just saying, the holographic sight.
Yes.
And especially when you're handing it to a new shooter or a really young person, and it's like, just See that red dot floating in there? Yeah, just put that on what you want to hit.
See,
and they hit, and it's just way
and
more fun
the
for 'em.
advantage of the EOTechs and the holographic sights is that you don't have to have your eye perfectly centered behind the optic.
Yeah.
Red dots, you should.
Yeah.
The way they're built, but
Yeah.
but EOTechs and the Vortex makes the
Venom?
UH1.
Oh.
It looks
The
like
big
that big
TV set.
Yeah, the TV
TV set.
UH1.
Well, and then SIG does one, I think, too.
Is it holographic?
I think so. But that's the nice thing about it, because if your head's not perfectly aligned, there's no parallax. And as long as you can see where the dot's sitting.
Right.
So if you're shooting at a Pepsi can at 30 yards with your little pistol, and you're kind of craned in on it a little bit, your head's not kind of wonky.
It's like the dot moves.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. As long as you can see the P, and okay, the dot's on the P, and you pull the trigger, and it hits, and you're like,
Yeah.
how does that work? And it's like,
Yeah.
don't ask me.
Yeah, I don't know how it works,
Yeah.
but it does, and it works well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's one of the benefits of using those holographics on things that are, instead of a scope, because I have a scope on my little CVA Scout, the break action, the rifle, and it's just a Nikon P223, and people have the hardest time when they're new to shooting with optics. They do the little eye wiggle thing where they're trying
their
to,
heads
they're like,
all over.
I can't see, and it's like, so I have to ask them, okay, is there a black ring? They're like, yeah, and then, okay, if you have a problem with the black ring, you got to get closer or further back. And then they move, but then they're just doing this little head shake dance.
Or they try to put their eye right up on the scope.
They do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen that, and it's all happened to us. Where
Yeah, it's so funny when you see somebody with the little half moon cut right on their eyebrow or right above their eyebrow. I think I was talking with somebody and they had that, and I was like, dude, did you just get scoped? And they just had to like bow their head and shake and say, yeah. It was my friend. He was shooting a 300 Win Mag.
Oh gosh.
And he just got a little too close and bam. So, anyways.
What else have you done? I know you've been out duck hunting.
Yeah. So yes, we went out duck hunting.
Successful or not?
Not successful. We haven't. So north of us, because they are migratory birds, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, they still have open ground and open water. So those birds aren't going to move as long as they can go.
Oh yeah, it hasn't.
And they've got places to go feed. They'll just hold until
They don't care so much how cold it is, as long as they can still get in the water and get on the ground.
Because if you've ever shot geese, or you've ever plucked a goose, or you plucked a duck, and the
Pluck a
amount of
duck.
feathers is, you're just like, I mean, I've shot them geese coming straight at me with a 20 gauge. At 35 yards out, and it sounds like they've got armor plating on them. You hit them in the breast, and you just hear that, and you're like, what the? And they just keep honk, honk. And you're like, I just center punched you, and what the heck? So yes, we just haven't had a lot of migration yet.
Okay.
All right. Anything else noteworthy?
Have you made any progress on your 20 cal?
It actually, I had to send it back up. Aaron had to come pick it up because the valve pin was bent, and the valve the modifications that I had Aaron do to the gun, it's not a valve from Air Force. It's a different valving system. So he actually has the 20 caliber up at his shop, fixing it to put a new valve pin in. Zan did release, they did release a 20 caliber slug for it. I did talk to Al a week ago. He called up here to talk, and he says, once you get it back, bring it down to me, and we'll build a sizing die. Because we talked about, because with Taco and his knowledge of hot casting, I asked him, and he said, Travis, pouring those little teeny slugs, you can have some issues trying to get them to settle in right. You might be better off resizing like a 22 caliber pellet to make it work in the gun.
Oh, interesting.
So
yeah, that'd be interesting, because he makes the coolest bushing size dies. So you can buy the main die body, and then you can buy these bushings and use the same die. And so you could, if you have like a 22 cal, you can get 22 cal, 20 cal, 17, you could do 45, like 50 cal, all with the same sizing die. You just buy the right size bushing that you want to size it to. Those, I use those all the time. That's how I size all my cast bullets and the little 22 cal slugs that I've done.
Interesting.
So that then we can play with slugs a little bit with it. I mean, it's
cool.
There's
it's
the
fun little
one
gun.
that he does that's it might size really well. It's like a little rounded nose, and I think he has a hollow point. Not sure how well the hollow point, with the hollow point, if that'll make it size better or worse or what. But yeah,
Right.
that might be a good way to do it. One thing you'll want to do is if you just put a little bit of lube on the bullets you're sizing, if you're doing a significant size down, then having some lube on it makes it way better. Like it just slides right through.
Slips right through.
And with less deformation of the bullet.
Well, I mean, because when you're hunting with air guns, you're not getting even with slugs, you don't get a ton of expansion. You're just pushing like a big wound channel through there.
Yeah.
And there is some of the slugs out there that they do kind of, you get a little bit where they're going to open up and cut a bigger hole going through.
Yeah, I was going to say when you're talking big bore, you do get expansion on some of the ones I've seen, because there's a bullet I designed for the 458 SOCOM and 4570. It has a really big, deep hollow point, and that one I had a guy who hunts hogs with it, and he took some pictures for me, and I was like,
But
that looks good.
You're talking out of a powder burner. He was talking.
No. I'm talking about the
he uses them in an
Air Force
Airgun.
Texan.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And it all depends on like manufacturer and what the materials they're using to build that slug to hunt with.
Right.
And
Yeah.
some of them are they get too hard of a cast.
You want to know what alloy you're using. If it's cast with a harder lead alloy, or if it's soft cast. If you use pure lead and you cast it, you're going to get more expansion easier.
Yes.
But
Because it'll help.
because the Texans, those can really push those bullets.
yeah.
Like you're talking
They've got some power.
big bore, around 1,000 feet per second.
Yeah.
And, if you have a deep enough hollow point with enough velocity, 1,000 feet per second should be enough.
Yeah.
And then you have a soft lead alloy, like a pure lead, or, lead with just the tiniest bit of tin to aid in the fill out. Then it will expand and, do amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Taco, what have you done with guns?
Oh man, I will keep it short because I've been doing so much. Carly has gotten upset at me because I've fully invaded her side of the
craft
craft
You
reloading
merged
room.
into the craft side of the reloading
I
room.
just fully set up. Set up my different powder dispensers. I brought out. So I've been doing a lot of loading, like initial test loads. The 22 Creedmoor, the 6 Creedmoor, the 224 Grendel, and I was actually gonna play around. I was talking with Jim Cannon,
Okay.
and we were talking about like the differences between the 22 Arc and the 224 Grendel, and he sent me a picture of like, I think it was, I don't know which chamber it was. Basically, he was saying that they're pretty much identical. So Hornady with their latest, greatest, 22 Arc is just like basically a 224 Grendel that all the wildcatters have been using for a while.
Oh, okay.
But anyways, playing with that, I sold a few guns, bought a couple guns.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Have
it's.
you didn't do your
I know.
over under this year, did you?
I think I might have started with it and then I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, or maybe I didn't do it. The net 6 new guns or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Usually you have a
I have a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet, yeah.
I'll have to check the spreadsheet, see if it was last year's or if I just
If you just told me.
I just gave up on my New Year's resolution. But I've also loaded I've loaded and shot the 6.5x55. That one that I modified, put a silencer on, and like put a scope on. Gene helped me put a scope on it, and it was. Anyways, that shoots really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't put it out at 100 yards and like shot tiny groups with it.
Right.
I've mostly just shot things
Yeah.
out a ways. And
Sure.
so we were shooting hidden steel at 500 yards with this 100-year-old rifle.
Nice.
And, you know, the groups I've been taking out shooting, I'm like, hey, you want to shoot a 100-year-old rifle at like 500 yards?
Yeah.
Suppressed?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Nice.
And so, you know, the 6.5 in a military cartridge, it recoils very little.
Really?
You know, it's kind of like shooting a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Is this the 6.5 Swedish?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Swedish
I
Mauser
need to get
6.5
mine
by
out.
55.
I still haven't shot it.
The model, the M96, I kept in the original condition, military configuration.
Yeah.
That's the same model as yours.
Right.
This one is the M38, which
Okay.
is the shorter one, and it was one I bought that was all messed up, had a split stock, and
Yeah.
it was already drilled and tapped, and it didn't have matching
Serial
serial numbers on their
Yeah.
parts, and so I was like, I bought this with the intent of just making a shooter and modifying and customizing it because it didn't have collector value anymore.
Yeah.
And so I did not feel bad,
Yeah.
and now I love this rifle.
Cool.
And so, anyways,
Gotcha.
I did a bunch of casting. I've done some, like I did those 50 cals with the test mold. And so I needed I've been, the molds that I picked up, then I have been seasoning, you know, breaking it in.
Seasoning?
Yeah, so what you do
Lemon
is,
pepper? Or?
yeah, a little pepper,
Paprika?
salt, you know.
Montreal.
Put it on the stove. You actually do put it on the stove. But preheat it. You bring it up to temperature 3 times. Like, so you bring it up to temperature, cool it, temperature, cool it. And that helps seat the pins, the
Oh, okay.
alignment pins.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it also helps build up like the slightest oxidized layer inside the cavity, which makes the bullets
It releases
not
better.
stick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more you use a mold, the more that happens over time. And then you put a little bit of smoke in the mold, and that just basically helps release the bullets when you're, you know, casting. So
So you throw it in your Traeger.
yeah.
Look at him, he's like, I never thought of that.
Now I'm wondering,
You're
like,
gonna go, oh, it's a little hickory
What?
smell in the craft room.
could I put it in my Traeger at 400 and then like have it get it smoked? I don't know.
We expect your
there's,
full
oh
report
yes, yeah.
next
well, here's what-
episode.
Now I'm curious because, like, if I've scrubbed it, you know, with the Dawn, because that's the first step is
Yeah,
scrubbing
yeah.
it, washing out the cutting oils as much as possible.
Sure.
If I've done that, then would smoking it when I'm smoking some bacon or something, would that work?
I don't know.
Brings it up to temperature and it like gets
think
smoke
you
on
need
it.
to find out.
But anyways, so I've done a bunch of shooting with groups. Like
Yeah.
I've taken, oh man, I had sorted my brass bucket and like cleaned all that, tumbled, and now it's like it's just full again. It's like a 5-gallon bucket full of brass that I need to resort, retumble, and reload. But
Nice.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, we actually have a topic. That's why we are here at Utah Airguns with Travis. We want to discuss hunting with air guns. Now, a few years ago, Utah finally decided to allow air guns to be used for hunting, but they gave them 5 years to come up with all the regulations and everything, and I believe 2024 is the end of that period. So they should be
We should be online. So this past year, well, let's go back. 2 years ago, it was supposed to be fall turkeys, and then get small game such as snowshoe hare and cottontails up on that list so we could hunt. They had everything up, went to committee, got pushed back, didn't go through. But this last year, they did pass it. So now snowshoe hares and
jackrabbits. You could always hunt.
jackrabbits, you can always, anything in the state of Utah that's considered like a pest, a vermin, invasive species.
Do neighbors count as pests?
You'll have to talk with your local law enforcement about that.
Okay, I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend.
You're asking
Yeah.
for a friend. Perfect. So, so we were hoping that this year we would get the big game on that. They didn't. What's the word I'm looking for? They weren't able to get it through. We did
Right.
get some pushback from some other groups. They're going to readdress it coming up for this next, probably the first year with the legislatures, and try to get it to go through.
Do you know when they do get everything in place so that we can hunt deer, say like whitetail deer or mule deer with air gun, would it be include? So if I go, when that's all in place and I go buy my tag so that I can do this, is it going to be included with the muzzleloader hunt, the bow hunt? Is it going to be its own separate thing? Is it going to be tied with? My thing is, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't just include it with the muzzleloader, because it's essentially the same limitations that a muzzleloader has, right?
Yes.
As far as your range and stuff like that, and follow-up shots, it'll be faster with an air gun than it would be with a muzzleloader. But I don't want it to be included with the rifle hunt because there's too many stupid people.
So not sure how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Because with the way with the new muzzleloader laws, they took away scopes.
They took away magnified optics.
Oh, really?
So you can
Yes,
only
they
run
took
a
that
one
away.
I feel even better that I sold mine now.
So, which, back to the hollow sight, the hollow sight will probably be back on my muzzleloader now. Because that's what originally I bought it for.
Yeah.
Because it's not magnified. With that being said, I don't know, because with the like an Air Force or any of your big bore stuff, you can put, you're going to have an optic on there, and I don't know how they're going to feel about, okay, now the guys that are hunting with the muzzleloader guys with an air gun, they can use whatever optic they want.
Right.
So it may end up being pushed in with the
rifle.
with the general, with the any weapon rifle hunt. So that could happen.
That would be disappointing to me, but
it's
better
still
than
the
nothing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
To be able to hunt with them. I know that, I mean, if they do like what Texas and Idaho and the states that do allow big bore air gun hunting, it will be like deer size game, 357 will be your cutoff. So
357 and bigger.
and bigger.
Yeah.
So you can't drop down and shoot one with a 22 caliber. That would not be the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
Does 357 have enough power to do deer?
Yeah. And then 45 for elk size game. But most guys go to the 457 or bigger.
Yeah.
And then they just, that way they're covering their bases as far as they're not trying to keep track of two different slugs, and they go up hunting and you've got your 357, you realize you grabbed the 45s, and now it's like, oh, now I got to travel back down into the valley and get my right ammo and then back up the hill. I mean, and they do really, really well. We had first year Idaho did it. One of our clients that buys a lot of stuff from us, he took a mule deer with his 45 caliber Texan.
Nice.
Was that the 45, like 458 or
457?
457?
So it's 457. First shot, Ben said it was probably about 90 yards out.
Okay.
And hit it, flipped it over on its back. It did get back up, and you're right, they're much easier and quicker to load.
Yeah.
Reloaded it and punched him again, and the second time just flattened him, it was done.
Nice.
So, they do have the capability of, we've got local guys that they leave their big bore air guns in Africa and they hunt African big game with them.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the things, if people are wondering about power of an air gun, if you think about the 457s or the 50 cals air guns, it's kind of like shooting a 4570, and the 4570 cartridge has, that's what wiped out the buffalo.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get, usually, even if you don't get a lot of expansion, you're still punching a 50 cal hole or a almost 50 cal hole, 457 hole through an animal, and if you hit a vital, then it's a big hole.
Because you think about it, a lot of your dangerous game rifles, their top speeds, you're talking 1,500 feet per second, but it's the weight of that slug that's hitting, that's doing it's causing the damage.
Right.
It's not necessarily the speed. It's take a 7mm 168. You're pushing them right almost to 2,900, somewhere right in there. But then you take we'll just go back to the air guns. 450, the 457. Somewhere that 900 feet per second mark. but you've kicked the weight of that up to a 310 grain slug.
Right.
That's a lot of the energy going down range, a lot of foot-pounds of energy going down range. And
It's like getting hit by a semi instead of a bullet bike.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty much.
yeah. So, I mean, and the other thing is, think of distance. These are not built for long-range hunting. They're, keep it like you would shoot a traditional cap and ball or a flintlock muzzleloader, that 100 yards, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Pick your spots, and we'll go back to optics. Put a good optic on it, so you can find that spot that you need to hit,
Right.
and do it.
Yeah, and with a really heavy bullet, the penetration, you'll get great penetration because it just has that train type energy where it just plows right through. It'll break bone. It'll.
What recommendations do you have for a gun for hunting big game?
Big game. I mean, Air Force, as far as big bores, production big bores, they've been around a long time, and they have their stuff dialed in.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing is that manufacturer, I mean, they're located in Texas, so they've done a lot of testing with them.
The hogs.
Yeah.
Hogs.
They killed a lot of hogs with those.
Then they can do it. There's not a lot of, production. I know Hatson, they have their pile driver, which is a big bore. That would be another good one that would be good for hunting with.
Okay. Does AEA make a 50 cal?
AEA makes a 50 cal. AEA actually makes the biggest production rifle out there.
Is that the 72?
72 caliber Zeus, and it looks like a shotgun slug. So then Ermerex, they came out with their hammer.
Yeah.
And that's a 50 cal. And that would be another good choice for. So you've got 4 manufacturers that do big bore stuff. So you do have, because Air Force, they kind of look like a futuristic gun.
They do.
You get the pile driver, it's more of a bullpup, so it's a long gun. It's got a long barrel on it, but it is in a shorter platform.
Yeah.
AEA, they've got their short versions and their long standard versions. And then you've got Umarex with the hammer, and they've got a shorter carbine version now too, because some of those guns, you go down there and you put them on the floor and it's like a broomstick.
Yeah.
But there's always different configurations, like if you're a whitetail hunter and you're in like Texas, those guys have shorter guns, so it's easier to maneuver around in the blind, so you're not muzzling everybody. If you got a camera guy in there and he's filming you're not pulling up and he's like, oh, dude, get the muzzle out of my face, please.
Yeah.
So you have those opportunities, keeping your ranges reasonable, and then it's always going to be about shot placement, whether it's an air gun, a center fire. It's always about putting
it right in the right spot.
Right.
And that's what's cool about the air guns is they're capable of that.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I don't think, realize just how accurate these air guns
a quick story. One of our guys here that lives here in Utah, they leave their air guns. The accuracy, so he killed a crocodile.
Yeah.
And when you're hunting crocodiles, you've either got to hit them in the brain stem, going into the spine, or you've got to brain them. If you body shoot them, they'll slip off in the water, your tag's filled, you're done.
Yeah.
He took a croc and just put him down right there on the beach. He hit him right at that base of that skull at the brainstem, and it was a done deal. So,
nice.
They are capable of that accuracy.
Yeah.
So
even the big bores. Because we've all got the 22s and everything, and those things are stupid accurate.
Which for training with, because there's a lot of guys that will buy, a 22 or 25 or a 30 caliber for a training rifle. Yes, on the front end it's expensive to get into it. You guys know.
Yeah.
But on the back end, you shoot for pennies.
Right.
And practice. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You just have to remember when you go to, say, a center fire or a big bore air rifle, you're going to have, with a big bore air rifle, you're going to have some, I wouldn't say recoil, but I would say push. You're going to get some push from it.
Right.
And being able to manage that is, with those smaller guns, you learn to you learn your target, getting your target acquisition, getting on target, building,
pulling the trigger,
building, like in a hunting situation, being able to build a good solid platform to shoot off of, and you can do it rapidly. There's so many new products out there to do that with that, I mean, you can throw them in a backpack instead of, because you guys know, every time you've been out hunting and you're throwing your backpack up there and then you're pulling your puffy jacket off and you're trying to build this stable platform.
Right.
There's new stuff, new bags out there that are lightweight. You can put it in the backpack, throw it across the log, put your rifle on it, and you've got a solid platform to set up off of. And then being able to practice that is key to accuracy.
Yeah.
Being able to repeat it over and over and over again what you're doing.
Yep.
And practicing on varmint type things is a good way to do that, because they're usually really small targets.
Pests.
Yeah. Vermin.
Neighbors.
Vermin.
Whatever.
Yeah. So like ground squirrels, those are a great preparation for, if you're going to do large game hunting.
Well,
because you got to shoot this little thing.
Right. That's probably moving.
Yeah. English sparrow, another great one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're an invasive species, and those things never want to hold still.
Oh,
no.
You've got starlings.
Starlings they're always like, they're like the most fidgety bird. Mm-hmm. They're always moving.
They're nervous because they know everyone hates them.
Yes. Well, Eurasian doves. Another one.
Yeah.
Pigeons. How many times have you seen pigeons out in the field and you're trying to stay on top of them and they're...
Eurasian doves all over in my neighborhood. As soon as I started getting air guns, I see them in everyone else's yard. They will not come in my yard.
Birds are...
I don't know what... I've shot one. That was it.
Well, it's weird because we'll take my dad for example. He lives down on the Mogollon Rim in Arizona, so he lives up in a place called Strawberry. And he was a little skeptical about air guns, and then he started shooting mine.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting him one for Father's Day.
Nice.
Father's Day / birthday gift. I mean, my brothers and sisters did this, and now, because they had so many birds, they were remodeling this house. Now the birds, he looks out and the birds are coming, and as soon as they get within 100 yards of the house, they will make a 90
off
and go the other direction just to avoid it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with them, but they'll figure out, like, if you're consistently shooting out of the same truck at different places,
it'll recognize your truck.
It'll recognize the truck, and as soon as you start pulling down in there, they'll just...
Everybody leaves.
So
everybody leaves.
That's what my father-in-law said. He got this one bird, and then all of a sudden, whenever they like recognize his little truck, his vehicle, and then as soon as they saw that, they fly away.
Nice.
But it is. I mean, it's a ton of fun, and it's a great family activity. I mean,
my whole family likes shooting air guns, including my wife, who, when I brought my first handgun home, she cried because she knew it was going to kill the whole family in our sleep.
Yeah.
She's not a gun fan, but she'll shoot the air guns.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing is people that are. I mean, we have a range downstairs that goes out to 35 yards, and people will come in and they're a little skeptical, and it's not intimidating. You take them into the range because we have range rental guns. Yeah. You sit down with them, show them how to load it, and then they're kind of like, okay, let me show you. So you get down behind it, pull the trigger, they can hit it, because we got KYLs and pig targets and all these fun targets down through there, and they're like, oh, that's not, it doesn't kick and it's not loud. And it's like,
and you have a lot of reactive targets, so it's instant. You hear the ting or you see it move, and so
they stay engaged.
It's entertaining.
Oh, one thing I was gonna say, Jason, we need to show you, and it would be a great stocking stuffer, is that Donnie EFL has a new quick attach device for
suppressor or
for
moderators.
For your moderators.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because it takes so long to screw it on.
Well,
anyway.
But yes, they did. So Donnie released it.
I'll look at it.
Okay, the reason I got it is so, obviously my crown with the big old fat, was this the Sumo?
The Sumo.
Yeah, it's too long for my gun case. And so, anyways, I have to take it off and put it on when I go to a hunt.
Right.
And so one of the questions or issues or concerns is the point of impact shift, and so that controls how, it's always the same every time versus if you're hand tightening it, you might tighten it a little bit more, a little bit less.
Okay.
And it might throw off your point of impact just a little
Look,
bit.
we have a sample right in front of us.
Yeah.
The listeners can see how awesome this is.
So I'll kind of explain it. So what it does is it actually, on the end of your air rifle, you have a 1/2 by 20 UNF. So this part,
That's the thread pattern.
that's the thread pattern, sorry. Then you screw this adapter onto that, and then it has on the side of it, there is an Allen key. So you'll put it on there, screw it down. You don't have to cinch these down super tight, just get them hand snug. And then you'll tighten up that grub screw to hold it in place.
Okay.
Then when you look at it on our website, you'll see that it's got notches cut in it.
Yep.
So as you push your
You just slide it on and twist it.
slide it on and twist it, and then
it's
when you're
done.
and it's done. So like with a long gun like Taco has, he's got a crown.
Right.
And to put the crown in the case with the moderator on it, it's not going to work.
My
won't
FX
happen.
is like that. My Dreamline, I believe I have to take the moderator off
Yeah.
to put it in the case also.
Now with this new system, you pop it on there, twist it, it's on. You get done shooting, instead of sitting there unscrewing it.
Yeah.
You just twist it and it pops back off. The adapter, everything stays on there.
Okay.
So
So-
the question I had that was answered when I bought it was basically it's almost like a tri-lug adapter for modern suppressors, but for air guns it's a little bit different, but the way it works is very similar. So my question was, is there 3 different ways it could attach, with the 3 grooves?
Yeah.
Can it rotate, and then that would defeat the purpose that
Right.
I wanted it for? And
Right.
I was thinking, well, am I going to have to index, just take a Sharpie and draw a line so I make sure I
It
use
goes
the
on the
right
exact
one
same
with the
way.
baffles? But to answer my own question, no, it can only go on one way. So
Okay.
even though it has 3 grooves, they're offset a little bit
Right.
so that it attaches the same way every time,
Interesting.
thereby
I'll have to look
getting
at
you that,
Giving you that
keeping you that
consistency.
consistent lockup and everything. So,
Cool. Well, we better wrap up
Yeah.
so Travis can get to work.
yep.
I have a homework assignment for the listeners, though. I have an idea for an upcoming episode, and we need all our listeners' help. Send in your stories of killer gun deals that you've had. So I had a customer in the store yesterday as a listener, and we were talking. He told me a story about just an incredible deal he got on a Russian SKS. It was ridiculous. And I have stories like that. I know Taco has stories like that. Send in your stories of just some not like, I took advantage of this old lady and got this gun for nothing because I told her it was a BB gun. We don't want that. But we've all got stories like that. I think it would be a fun episode to go through a bunch of listener stories on some killer deals that they got on a rare find.
Yeah, rare
something
finds
like
or
that.
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Until
Okay.
next time, stay safe, have fun.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Go take somebody shooting and be nice to people.
Or
Yeah.
170. Awesome, guys. All right, welcome to the. Okay.
You have to be excited.
Al, when he was doing it, he was so flustered. He's like, "Welcome to the Taco Bell podcast."
It's on Taco Bell content.
Damn it! Now it's just gonna come out. All right.